So with the recent passing of Pope Francis and the conclave and having the new Pope, Robert Prevost, something like that. New Pope. Anyway, so Pope Francis passed away on Easter Sunday at 88 years old. He suffered a stroke followed by a heart attack, says the Vatican. Fun fact, he was the first Latin American Pope in nearly 1,300 years. One of Pope Francis's notable features was building personal connections with people. Like, he washed the feet of people, which is an uncommon thing for popes to do, I guess. An example. Okay, what's up?
I was just curious. Do you go? Because I am genuinely curious. Do you go into like what's the process to like them picking a pope? Because I'm curious.
The conclave is super secretive.
Damn. Okay.
Actually, like
it's high-ranking officials that vote on it and say it's chosen by God.
Bishops or
they just
cardinals
picture
or
like
whatever, they go through like a trial, and then there's like
like certain like critiques of like you did good in this field, will make you the pope.
It's voted on by the hierarchy of the church, but it's not really voted on, but it is voted on. But they say it was like it's God's plan, whatever.
Sure. I was just wondering. I was like, I don't actually know.
But a lot of people like Pope Francis, and an example of his kindness was in 2018 when the Pope visited some of the city's parishes and took questions from the children. One boy approached the microphone, but he was young and he was scared to ask questions, so Pope Francis addressed young Emmanuel. Says, come to me, Emmanuel. Emmanuel? Yeah. Come and whisper it in my ear. Emmanuel's father had recently died, and he asked the Pope, is my father in heaven? My man, Pope Francis, responds, what a beautiful witness of a son who inherited the strength of his father, who had the courage to cry in front of all of us. If that man was able to make his children like that, then it's true he was a good man. He goes on to ask the children some more questions to reassure Emmanuel and tell him God is proud of his father. If that doesn't show you how good my man Pope Francis was, then I don't know what will.
By the way, his father... question. He didn't answer the question.
He kind of did.
He didn't answer the question. He just said your father was a good man.
It's implied.
God must be proud of him. He did not tell the
God
kid.
loves all his children, correct? I didn't ask. You know
they will say, to be fair though,
if heaven's
they
real
will say that about
there,
sinners too.
I will. I'll do it just for you, Gabe.
Well, okay.
How long was he Pope for? Does anyone know?
I don't know. It's a great question. Thanks for like.
I actually didn't
probably know that.
I didn't even know.
We should probably know that.
Well, it's like it pertains, but it's not about Pope Francis.
I was just curious if you knew because you did research on him.
From March 13th, 2013 until his death, April 21st, 2025.
12 years.
Yes, correct.
12 years.
Good job,
I just remember like seeing those pictures where he's in the van, or I don't even know if it was Pope Francis. There's a Pope in there in the glass box.
They do the.
Just kind of made a funny connection.
America.
Yeah, it's almost like a parade and a thing. Almost.
We're talking about popes, and it'll be probably heavily religious. And I am drinking. You think that's frowned upon?
You should make me want to go get a beer out of the fridge. What's
the issue?
What is?
You're right. Jesus be drinking wine. This just doesn't have the pretty labels. Little Ritas.
Is there like a term? Is there like
Jesus was so turned that he made the water wine. He's like,
You got a point.
That man was a wine drunk all the time.
They have plenty of water, but they're like, Jesus, we didn't get the booze. And he's like,
have no fear, my child.
I got you.
Could you imagine if it was a curse?
Your Savior is here.
Like, let's say it was a different. Let's do a different angle. Like, everyone's like, oh, you can turn water to wine. Jesus is sitting there going, I just want fucking water. I'm parched, and all I can drink is wine.
It turns automatically to wine in his mouth. So it's like he's never like.
I'm so dehydrated.
I'm so dehydrated.
If you were a religious figure that could turn water into something, what do you think you would turn it into? Let's say you just like didn't have a choice, because like I don't know,
like an inconvenient thing or a useful thing.
I just feel like it'd be really inconvenient because, like, let's say Jesus, for example, like every time he went to drink water, it would turn into wine.
That's like
kind of inconvenient. It's a cool party trick,
That's like the
was kinda
story of the
inconvenient.
Midas touch. Like he was gonna starve to death of food because everything he touched, like all his food turned to gold, and he couldn't eat it. His drinks turned to gold, so he literally was starving to death.
So anyway, what do you think your
How
your
do
liquid?
real quick? How do popes work? Is it like a term?
I go in. What do you mean? What?
Is it like a presidency? Like you get 4 years? Is there like a
No, you're
period,
pope
or is it
for
just till you
life until
die?
your death, or
Yeah.
you willingly step down.
Or I
Okay.
mean, there are, like, you can be kicked off of being pope. You can get kicked out of the papacy.
I just wasn't sure if
Does
it was
not
like a
happen very
term
often.
thing or if
No.
it's just like a till you die thing. Because like obviously presidency is a 4 year and then another 4 year.
It's typically until you die, though.
Okay.
But you can be kicked out. You probably can step down as well.
I just didn't know how it worked.
You can.
Because you said he was
Could.
12 years. I was like, holy shit, that's a long
Anyway,
time.
I think Michael's water would turn into piss.
Michael's?
For no particular reason. Just, I just kind of want to know what you guys thought, and you guys kept interrupting me with questions. So, Michael, what do you think it would turn
did the
into?
research on this.
Not about what you see, you're changing it again. I just want to know what your water would turn to. That's all I want to know.
Would turn into unsweet stale tea.
You're a monster.
Like unsweet tea that's been left out for 3 days on the counter. That's yours.
I know.
That's
His would
the
turn into his
worst.
mom's classic sweet tea. He'd have diabetes within a day.
Isn't that like
so much sugar? So much sugar.
so
I don't even
much-
think the South wouldn't even like it. That's how much sugar
No.
is in this thing.
half the jar, half the
I'm saying,
container was sugar.
everything
the other
he
half
drinks-
was the water with tea.
Everything he drinks turns into that. He would have diabetes within 3 days.
I'm gonna say yes, but he's gonna die quickly. My route is he's going to live longer, and he's gonna have that shitty, stale, unsweet tea every time he drinks water.
I feel like I'd probably live too because you can drink your own piss. No one's
Only
ever going
once.
to talk to me.
No, it wouldn't actually turn to pee. If anything, I think that yours would probably turn into like diluted monster. I mean, like really watered down monster.
Like it was mainly ice when they gave you the cup with a little bit of monster, and
Now
then it
it's
just got worse from there.
Monstery water, essentially.
But it's diluted with like coffee or something, so it's just awful.
You're always just every time.
But I don't like how Gabe's is Kool-Aid, so we have to
just
change
feel
that,
like
Michael.
I'm just picturing
You
like
asked me, and I gave you an answer.
It's gonna be the
we
drink
really
you
should
hate the
probably get
most.
into this. We really should probably get into this. We're just like
God,
way
we've
sidebarred. I intentionally
8 minutes
sidebarred us
in.
though. Anyway, so what is the job of the Pope? Michael, quit reading it because I want you to guess. You know what, Gabe? You guess. Quit reading it.
I didn't read it yet.
Okay. What do you think the job of the Pope is?
either, but
They continue on the church. They're the top figurehead of the church. They're the head honcho.
Yeah,
Aren't
more or
they
less.
like-
for the
I'm good with
Catholic
it.
Church. They're the
I don't wanna
closest
watch you
person
suffer.
with God.
yeah, I was gonna say,
I
aren't
can't
they like the
stand
most
I can't
direct
stand
route
to
to
watch you
God?
suffer. I
They're
think I don't know.
They're the closest
Okay.
to God, something like
The
that.
Pope, who is seen as the successor to
Mhm.
Saint Peter himself.
Mhm.
He has the full power of jurisdiction over the universal church, which is the worldwide commune of all Christian believers in like the Catholic sense. In matters of faith, morals, discipline, and the church's government. So to kind of break it down, the Pope is in charge of quite a bit, but he has no real political powers. But he does have a lot of influence over politics. Yeah, so no power, he has significant influence. Being the head of the Catholic Church, which has 1.3 billion members, the Pope's power is split between two categories: his spiritual leadership and then the administrative leadership.
That's where they get you.
So his spiritual leadership can be broken down further, and his duties are to lead the church, obviously, define doctrine. He makes binding decisions of faith and morals, leading the prayer, obviously, and promoting dialogue. He promotes communication with other Christian denominations. All right. Pretty straightforward stuff. And the administration is broken down into governing the church, obviously, making appointments, but he kind of just delegates that to the cardinals and bishops. And then overseeing church affairs as far as, his political ties and stuff like that. So that is just a quick rundown of what the Pope does. He also oversees the administration of church, including charities, education, and healthcare institutions.
That's a lot, actually.
I don't know what that means, Gabe. I don't.
It means what you think it means.
Okay.
There's a lot to be in charge
Okay.
of.
With now 267 popes elected to papacy, dating back to the Apostle St. Peter, who was recognized as the first pope. So with all that apostolic succession, there is bound to be at least one or two bad apples in the bunch, correct?
Yes. 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 He's on to something.
He's got it.
Well,
is that the response you wanted?
He's going somewhere.
Perfect. Well, with 2,000 years, with 2,000 years of the papacy there, today we are looking at 10 of them. 10 bad popes. 10 bad apples.
Are these just the 10 that stood out to you the most?
Do you have the one that helped Hitler? Or not Hitler, but like helped the Nazis?
Dude, I don't. He didn't make the list.
There's 10 worse than the one who just helped all the high-ranking?
This is the 10 worst that stood out the most out of all 267.
Yeah, out of 267, this is what is kind of believed to be the top 10.
If one of these does not sound worse than the Nazi one, then I will. They accepted the gold that was taken from all the Jewish people
buddy,
that were killed.
These have got to be worse.
Okay, I'm excited to hear.
Okay, so we're going to start
how
off.
Wonderful the Catholic Church's history is.
So, obviously, dating back 2,000 years, we're going to start with Pope Stephen VI.
Good for him.
His time of power was between 896 and 897, so 1 year. It was actually a little over a year. He had a great dislike for his predecessor, Pope Formosus, and had his month-old deceased body. So Pope Formosus he's been dead for a month. He had his body exhumed. He redressed the Pope and put him back in his what's it called? What's a Pope's attire called? Hang on, let me look it up. Hang on.
Pope regalia? Who knows? Uniform, outfit, costume, robes.
And Pope's ordinary dress or house dress is called a white cassock with white zucchetto, which is the skull cap. I'm gonna say cassock.
Doesn't the traditional Pope outfit actually have a lot to do with pagan symbolism?
I have no idea.
I'll have to do an episode on that sometime.
Not a clue. Anyway, so his cassock, he put his Formosus, who's been dead for a month, put him back in his cassock, and put him on trial. The dead guy, he put him on trial. Obviously, nothing really came of it. Okay, Pope Stephen VI then had his body dragged through the streets of Rome and dumped into the Tiber River. This would forever be referred to as the cadaver trial or the cadaver synod.
What were the charges?
Synod?
So Pope Stephen accused Pope Formosus of perjury to obtain his power, motivated by a desire to consolidate his power and legitimize his own reign, as well as to appease his political allies who opposed Formosus. That was his reason for doing this. Pope Stephen VI, a year later, would be strangled to death by one of his enemies.
I did not read ahead, obviously.
Yeah. This was really nice. You should not read ahead.
I'm not reading ahead. I
know. And there's some illustrations of these popes. There's only one pope that I didn't have an illustration for. So then I just use AI. I'm sure it's relatively close.
I would just assume that they get buried in their, I just assume each pope gets a new, outfit, because every new pope gets a new ring. That ring gets destroyed and melted down. If you didn't know that, Gabe.
So they say.
Cool.
They made a big deal about it when Pope Francis died. They're it was a $250,000 ring or something that was about to be just melted down because it would. Not so much now. It used to be a tradition because they'd use their rings as a seal to stamp letters.
So obviously you couldn't.
So to not impersonate a letter because someone could steal it off a dead body, they would destroy them. Obviously nowadays it's not the same with media, but it's a tradition that keeps going apparently.
Right on.
That's about what you're stepping in. All right, so this period was around the start of the Dark Ages for the papacy, right? Which happened between the years 867 and 1049, 1049, whatever you want to call it.
Are you sure we're saying that word right?
What's that? Papacy. I guess it doesn't really matter.
Maybe papacy. That does sound right.
I just feel like we're saying it wrong. And I don't
Okay.
want us to be illiterate.
Hang on. Papacy.
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 That sounds
Sorry.
more accurate. The papacy.
All right. This is
Not
the
that
Dark
far
Ages
off.
for the papacy, which happened between the years 867 and 1049, where popes had a short reign, with popes either being killed or run out of the city because they were so bad. This is also because of the high amount of corruption throughout Rome, and many of the popes were involved in nepotism to gain or maintain their power. Which brings us to our second pope. These aren't in
say our audience is illiterate, right? And they don't understand the definition of nepotism.
You know, I thought
What
I
would
put
you
it in.
say?
I thought I put it in here. I thought I know.
I've heard nepotism before.
Okay, I do have it in here. Nepotism is defined by Dr. Google as the practice among those with power or influence of favoring relatives, friends, or associates, especially by giving them jobs. So you're just like promoting your friends and family to power to help maintain your own power.
Gotcha.
Basically
Fair
putting
enough. I like
people
how
in
you said
power that
that.
you could kind of control so you can
I'm glad
continue
our
to
audience
maintain
will now
power.
understand. I'm sorry, Michael. What did you say?
I was gonna say it sounds like pretty much you put someone in power so you can still maintain power behind curtains when you step down.
Yeah, well, it's just like because during this time, a lot of popes were being run out of the city and or killed. So if you surround yourself with your friends and family, well, they somewhat like you, so you're less likely to get killed or run out.
I'm gonna make a
I just hope
reference.
this one ends with him getting strangled by his own family.
I'm gonna make a reference I think Gabe's the only one that's gonna get, but this talking about popes makes me think of the second Assassin's Creed game when
Dude.
the guy becomes the pope at the end. The main bad guy becomes the pope, or maybe that was Brotherhood. I think actually.
It was Assassin's Creed 2 ends with the bad guy becoming the Pope.
Yeah, and you have to go in and assassinate him in
And
front of
Brotherhood.
Yeah,
you go after him, right? Something like that.
something like that.
Seems accurate.
But either way,
Who
yeah,
knows?
it because he takes control. Like he's a corrupt Templar who takes control of the Vatican. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyway, brings us to our second pope, and again, these aren't in any like.
This isn't like worst to best.
This is the second
Yeah.
Pope that existed. Got it.
Yeah, it's chronologically is what I have it.
Yes.
Okay,
So
so
this
pope.
is the second Pope to ever exist.
No, not to ever exist.
You said chronologically this is the second Pope.
In the list of top 10 worst popes.
I don't understand what you're saying.
So the last pope
Is
was
the worst.
between the years 896 and 897. This pope's reign was 904 to 911.
9/11?
Let's have a moment of silence for 9/11. Okay.
What a bad way to end his term.
Pope Sergius III had his two predecessors murdered to gain power, making him the only pope to ever do this. He participated in nepotism, promoting family and friends. We described, it's the practice among those. Yeah, we got it. He fathered an illegitimate son who would become pope 20 years later, Pope John the 11th. And I'm pretty sure he makes this list too.
How does being pope work? Can you have a wife and child, or is that frowned upon?
I think you have to be celibate. I thought because
Is it like a celibacy
nuns
thing?
have to
Because that would already make him look bad to begin with because he had a kid.
Now we're asking you more questions.
Yeah, you are no. These are good questions. These are good questions.
Well, because not only did he illegitimate child, but it's like he also had a child, which means it's probably not good.
Are popes allowed to have
Okay,
kids?
so Dr. Google,
Mother Google,
Dr. Kugel
says yes. Popes in the Catholic Church are celibate. This is because the Catholic Church requires all priests and bishops, including the Pope, to be celibate.
Is that a recent thing?
This requirement has been in place for the Latin Church since the 11th century, so no.
So it was after this, though, after the 904 to 911. So he was allowed to have children, but you're saying he had an illegitimate child, so he had a child outside of his marriage.
So he slept with a teenage woman. She was around 15.
Mm-hmm.
Her name is Marozia, I believe, who was the daughter of a powerful family in Rome.
Did he rape her, or did they let her?
So this one's kind of confusing because in some articles, it was almost arranged.
Yeah, I was gonna say this sounds.
Yeah, she's from the house of Theophylact. which was the Count of Tusculum.
See,
I'm
this
sure I'm
sounds
butchering all
awful.
these names.
Like, this sounds awful nowadays, but I feel like back then, like, sleeping with a
No, back then
15-year-old
it was
was
still bad. It was still bad.
thing?
It was still bad.
Okay. I feel like rules are so much different back then.
Yeah. So, but in other articles, she was a prostitute. So it's I don't really know.
15-year-old prostitute.
I wasn't born then. I wasn't there.
You weren't born
No.
in 9/11?
No. Let's take a moment. Let's take a moment of silence for 9/11. Okay, let's go.
If you're being serious about that, or if that's a
Yeah, I can't tell if he's making a joke about this or not.
I don't
September
think you should make
11th.
a joke about 9/11.
I'm not. I'm taking a moment of silence. Remember our fallen heroes.
Second video episode ever. We're canceled.
Anyway, that brings us to our third pope, which I have to fact check something. I think doesn't matter.
Okay, real quick, while you're doing that, you said he was the first pope to kill to get into power.
He's the only pope.
I guarantee you he wasn't. I guarantee you he got caught doing it, or there was some suspicion he did it. But I bet you there's some popes back in the day that poisoned their counterparts so they could become pope and just didn't get caught.
That could be. Yeah,
I'm sure, or hired an assassin or something,
Again,
and there's no way to trace it.
Again, I wasn't there.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, I just have a feeling this was the only one that got caught doing it or something.
Casey, you should have been there since day one.
I know. Anyway,
this is a failure on your part.
My bad. I'll work harder on these episodes.
I blame your parents.
Hey, leave my mom out of this.
I blame your parents.
I really wish your mom listened to this so she could call Gabe after hearing and be like, "Fuck you."
I think she follows us on TikTok, to be honest with you. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Pope John the 12th. Okay, his time of power was between 955 and 964. He obtained the throne at 18 years old and was said to run the what was it, papacy?
Papacy, yeah.
He was said to run the papacy like a bratty teen would. He personally led an attack against the Lombard duchies of Benevento and Capua, whatever.
Pronounced duches.
Lombard douches.
Duches.
Okay. Lombard duches of Benevento and Capua, presumably to Capua. Doesn't matter, whatever. Presumably to reclaim parts of the papal states.
Is there
counts? Didn't we watch Spartacus together?
Yeah.
Yes.
Dude.
Capua.
Okay. Capua.
Isn't
that's the place they talk about in Spartacus.
Well, no, it was the same place. This guy ran a fucking raid on him.
I'm sure there wasn't then. Is there like an age you have to be pope nowadays?
Nowadays, I
feel like all the popes are kind of older.
Shoot.
Okay, another question.
I just feel like all the popes nowadays are older. This dude's 18.
Well, obviously, yeah. How did they vote him?
Also, you imagine being 18. Okay.
Nepotism. There is no official age requirement for becoming pope.
That's wild to me. Nowadays.
But the younger you are, the longer you technically would be in charge.
And also, like, the older you are, the more experience you have.
So I got a question for you two and for the audience. You guys remember being 18. Could you imagine having this much power at 18? I couldn't decide on what shoes to wear on a day.
Dude,
let alone.
So corrupt.
Dude, I couldn't even figure out what porn video I wanted to watch.
Gross. You watch porn? Like pornography?
No,
we're talking about popes.
No, I was kidding.
You bring up
I was kidding. No, it's just a joke. I don't do that.
Wow.
We're in the presence of the Pope. Of course, I'm kidding.
I see Casey just sitting at this ivory throne, and some priest walks by, and he's like, "Yo, this Wi-Fi is shit. I can't even pull a P-hub.
P-hub. Can't get no P-hub up in here.
Can't get no P-hub.
Oh man, this Wi-Fi is shit. What's your password?"
The new Pope, Prevost. He is a self-proclaimed gamer.
Did you see where he's from?
Chicago.
From Chicago, Illinois.
He was born in Chicago, but he's got dual citizenship.
A majority of his life in Peru, I believe.
Yeah, he did, but he is technically from Chicago.
Oh, why are people making that like that's like a big thing? Like, he has ties to America.
Because America, fuck yeah. Rock, flag, and eagle.
I'm not gonna lie, I sent Casey an AI video where it's like once he becomes Pope, there's gonna be like Dodge Chargers all throughout the Vatican.
It's like a mud pit out back.
He sets up a big mud pit and brings monster trucks to the Vatican. That'd be kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie.
He's out there. He's out there on the balcony. He's like, "Bring me a Busch Light."
Oh like, damn! You guys got Busch Apple
I like
back?
this guy. I like
Busch
this
Apple's
guy.
back
I don't
in.
think that's the. You know what? Maybe we could.
He's like, "Can we repaint the 16 Chapel?" There's not enough. There's not enough tits.
Wait, say that again.
Sistine Chapel.
There you go.
There's not enough tits in here. Is that too much?
It's gonna go somewhere with that, but I'm good.
I need the
Tell
general.
Tell us more about this 18-year-old Pope.
Yeah, let's get back on top. You're right, Gabe. You're right. Okay. The counts claim he ran the papal palace like a frat house and brothel. There are also accounts of Pope John taking part in murder, invoking demons, and sex with his sisters.
Pope can have sisters?
I like how that's the problem. You
yeah, they can. Yeah, they can. Pope John was caught having sex with another man's wife. Any thoughts?
This man was just slaying while he was Pope. My God.
But, Michael, my dear friend, this would lead to his demise because the man would beat him so badly, he died 3 days later from his injuries.
Saying Pope John the 12th technically fucked around, literally.
He found out. Yeah. He fucked around and found out, yeah.
And he found out 3 days later.
I'm not gonna lie, man. But
instead of like Jesus, 3 days later he revived. 3 days later, Pope John the 12th.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. Like, I think anyone would do that. I don't care. I don't care if it was the Pope himself. If he fucked my wife, I'd probably beat him to death.
Afterwards, I would ask. You gotta ask the wife, like, did you sleep with him because it's the Pope, or was like?
I feel like since he was pretty corrupt, right? I feel like he's like, yeah, you have to have sex with me because I am the Pope. It's God's plan.
You think the guy that was beating him to death was like, "Were your sisters not enough? You had to fuck my wife."
Like,
I mean,
how long has the Pope had security?
I'm not Googling this. Okay, we're about to have probably a million other Google questions. Like, I need Dr. Google in person on standby.
He's just a church official, like right here behind him, reading his shit.
Yeah.
Like, how long have they had security? Hang on.
Yeah, dude, I did have somebody from the Vatican here, like the Vatican historian.
We just see all we see is the like chest down robes in the background from your camera, you know?
Yeah, that's true. I'm like,
exactly. Where is that guy?
I really wanted to buy like the whole Cossack from like Party City and do this episode because I thought it would have been fucking awesome.
Dude, oh my god, I'm a officiant and I bought the minister
outfit. Go get it! Go do it right now.
So the Pope has had
hang on, pause this.
I just Googled it.
We're not gonna pause.
Also, I'm not gonna lie. I would laugh my ass off if the guy beating him to death was like, dude, were your two sisters not enough? You had to fuck my wife.
I think like his sisters must have been hot. I'm just saying.
Dude, this Pope was slinging dick, man. Like, dude, I gotta imagine
anybody could get it.
When you're high up like that, like he probably was like, dude, anyone would sleep with me. I'm the Pope.
Yeah, he's like anybody gets it. You ask and you shall receive.
Yeah, that guard over there might get it. It's like, sir, I'm a man. It's like, that don't stop me.
If you want it, you can have it. That's all I'm saying, pal.
If you want it, you can have it. Spread the good word of God.
Spread something of God's. Spread the seed of God. That's all I gotta say. Ooh. By the way, Michael, these little Ritas, dangerous.
Are they as good as drawing a blank? Cayman Jacks.
Yeah, actually.
Better?
I would almost argue these might be a little bit better.
Are they the Bud Light Ritas?
That's an excellent question.
They look like the Bud Light Ritas because Bud Light makes a Rita. I've never heard of it. It's just the colors with the blue reminded me of when Bud Light did strawberry and margarita ones.
Doesn't say. Might be the same thing. But I think you're right though. Lime Ritas I thought were like the Budweiser thing.
Yeah.
By the way, I've drank 2 of those already. But these are only 8 ounces though.
These look like small cans, yeah. They're like probably like this.
Or maybe they're giant.
16 ounces.
I have giant hands. This is what I have giant hands. You know what they say about giant hands?
Makes your wiener look small.
Can't find gloves. They don't sell them.
I'm about to spit that everywhere.
But I am out, so I might have to go make a reader run. I'm gonna go make a reader run.
I was gonna say go for it. I mean, Gabe's getting changed real quick.
I gotta read it.
Like that. It's my show now. Picture of Pope John, because like he got really old before he died. I'm guessing.
I'm back.
Damn.
Got my
No longer my show. Real quick, is this old man down here? Is this John?
Wait, I can't hear you.
Oh fuck.
Okay, what's up?
Is this this old man picture down here? Is this Pope John?
That's the AI one. So
I was gonna say, dude, he lived a full life. I'm guessing from 18. If he died at that age.
well, what was the? No, he would have died at like 30.
Hey, did they make him look so old, or did he just
He was
age
in-
that bad?
He was in the office for 9 years. He wasn't even 30.
Why did AI make him look so old? Did he age like shit?
Dude, I just put Pope.
Oh, I was gonna say, did he age like
AI
shit?
generate Pope. I got a little chocolate too. Chocolate's an aphrodisiac. Do you know that, Michael? I'll tell you what. When I see Gabe in this Pope outfit,
Pretty sure it's only. I'm pretty sure it has to be like dark chocolate, like 100% cocoa.
either way, when I see Gabe in this father
An
outfit,
aphrodisiac.
when I see Gabe in
You
this
guys
father
ready?
outfit,
Yes.
I'm about to get a boner.
You ready?
Yes.
Yeah. Don't make me take this Viagra for nothing. Hell yeah!
Hi, yes. I am an ordained minister through the universal life.
I'll tell you what's doing it for me too. The mutton chops with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
It's really
it.
doing it.
I have been told that they really add and help reach a wider audience.
They actually help me get to God
yeah.
faster. Okay, to answer your question,
no,
Gabe, now that you're back. The Pope has had security provided by the Swiss Guard since 1506, making it
Swiss
a
Guard?
500-year-old What?
The Swiss Guard, huh?
Yeah. Making it a 500-year-old tradition.
I'm going to refer to you as Father Gabriel for the rest of the show.
Is
that okay, Father?
As you should.
All right, Father.
Who's to say?
Shall we move on, Father?
Of course, please.
You'll enjoy this, Father Gabriel.
Thank you.
Pope
Looking forward to it.
Benedict the Ninth.
Tell me about him.
His reign of power or terror was between 1032 and 1048.
I will say all these bad popes are really early on so far.
Yeah. Well, this was during like the dark ages of the
When you could
papacy.
probably get away with a lot
And
more.
this one, you'll like this one a lot, Michael, if you listen closely. He was the youngest pope to take power at 12 years old.
Good golly.
Some-
Not even a
That is
teenager.
young.
I'm gonna make an
Not even
inappropriate
a
joke
teenager.
to religion. Some higher up really enjoyed that 12-year-old Catholic schoolboy.
I don't remember how he got power. It had to be nepotism. It had to.
He did a great job.
Anyway, so he was
Someone
12
took a
years old
liking
when he
to him.
first. He was 12 years old when he first took power. He actually held the papacy 3 times. 3 times.
What is 12 years? That's like 6th grade. He would be in like 6th grade taking power.
Not even a teenager. Okay,
Yeah.
so for the first term was from 1032 to 1044. The second was between April and May of 1045. So like a month, less than a month. And then the third one was 1047 to 1048, so a year.
So were other popes filling in these gaps, or were they just popeless at that time and he took back over?
Other popes would kind of fill in.
Yeah.
Except
just
probably not
wondering.
for the month one.
Yeah. 'Cause it was just
but
a month.
For like 1044 to 1045, like maybe nobody took power. Because like I don't know how long the conclave lasted.
I feel like this last one kind of was quick.
It lasted as long as it needed to.
Correct, Father. Thank you. He is quoted to be a demon from hell. A 12-year-old.
Dave, you look
Demon.
like some character from Supernatural and Dean and Sam would come for help. They'd be like, Father, help us.
My boys.
Yeah, let's keep going.
Load a shotgun.
During his first term, the people ran him out of the city of Rome after a citizens' rebellion erupted because of his violent behavior.
Good.
It's a very angry 12-year-old.
Run him out of town. He's 12. Just pick him up and throw him over your shoulder.
Also, within his first term, the reason he fled, he was run out of the city, was political opponents wanted to murder him. So he quit and hid within the city walls,
That sounds
within Rome.
accurate.
During his time between his first and second term, he would murder, thieve, and commit other crimes. And then obviously be reinstated as Pope, I guess. During his second term, he sold the papacy to his godfather, who would become Pope Gregory.
Of course.
He would become Pope Gregory the Sixth.
I know you're done Googling, and I'm sure you don't have this answer, but I'm just curious what he sold that for, because I feel like it'd be priceless.
I doubt you could figure that out. But so it says he sold the papacy to his godfather.
And my godfather
there's speculations that he was actually paid to leave.
My godfather got me 2 hookers and some hooch, and I gave him it.
And then his third term, he took throne, but was once again run out of Rome, but this time by the German army, because he was threatening war to the Pope. This is a Pope.
Pope was threatening war.
He ran that like an army general, it sounds like.
But he took over when he was 12.
Yeah, dude. Again, you'd be in sixth grade.
The conclave. Wait, at this time in the church's history, was it still the conclave that decided? Had they created the conclave yet? That is a valid question.
You realize 12-year-old guys, our only thought then was recess, because that was our last year of recess, because then we went straight to middle school, and you don't have that.
I mean, when I was 12, I was not ready for the responsibilities of being the Pope. But for some reason, in 1032...
I had not a care in the world at 12.
Someone decided...
no. The first formally established papal conclave is considered to be around 1276.
So the conclave was created 200 years after the 12-year-old was appointed. There's reasons for everything.
Yep. Anyway, so that brings us on to Pope Boniface, the 8th. Pope Boniface the 8th. Now, his reign of power was between 1294 and 1303. So the conclave is now created. So this gentleman, he had a knack for starting fights with his my way or the highway approach to things.
Good.
So he's a dictator of a pope, if you will.
Good.
He had a feud with King Philip IV.
Better.
And in 1302, Boniface issued a papal bull. This is the church term for proclamation or official announcement, placing Europe's kings and their armies under his supreme command. So he's trying to take supreme power over everything.
He pretty much would have uncontrollable power at this point. He'd have every army under him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. He's the Pope has supreme power over everybody.
Mm-hmm.
King Philip,
as one does.
Shocker, King Philip didn't like this. Okay. So he ordered the capture of Pope Boniface. The Pope is also, if the proclamation went through, would have excommunicated King Philip, which is another reason why the king did not like him. But Boniface also thought pedophilia was no more problematic than rubbing one hand against the other. Not a great guy, all right?
Pedophilia, I hardly knew her.
But he was in power for 9 years. 9 years.
And the conclave voted for this man.
Correct. Yeah. Not a good move. They just got the conclave, 20 years ago or so.
You think? Wonder why I don't believe anymore. I mean, yes.
Well, this was 1290. This the year.
But that's what the history of the organization is, and
it all starts somewhere.
They figured it out now. Now they know the right stuff. Now everything's good.
Yeah, there's a learning curve. Okay, to the papacy, there's a learning curve. Okay, forget.
I feel like in Jesus's time, they probably still knew, hey, don't touch children. And this Pope.
Listen, if I was Miss Frizzle,
touching children is as easy as rubbing your hands together.
Listen, I'm not Miss Frizzle. If I was, I'd go back in time. I'd figure it out for you. I'd get you the answer. But I'm not. There's no magic school bus. We just got to go off of what history and Dr. Google tells us.
Made that even better is the fact that you are in the cloth.
Yeah, to say you don't believe in a priest outfit.
He is in the cloth.
It's a little bit ironic.
It's easy to just rub in your hands.
Minister.
It's a little ironic.
Not a priest. I'm a minister.
Man of the cloth.
Minister this.
I'm an ordained
wiener.
minister. And
Anyway.
Conduct wedding ceremonies and funerals and a couple other things. In the state of
I didn't know you could do all that.
It's hot.
I have a certificate and everything.
Gabe, if you outlive me, do my funeral.
I like a man with power.
Yeah, you do. Everyone does.
Anyway, shall we continue?
Yeah, continue.
Thank you, Father. Pope Urban VI.
Wait, you didn't tell me how Pope Boniface died. Or kicked the bucket.
Oh. I actually don't remember.
You mentioned how every other one has gone.
I have a feeling he died of old
did.
age because no one murdered him, it sounds like.
Give me 2 seconds.
1, 2.
Give me 2 more seconds.
1, 2.
One Mississippi.
He died at the end of his term at 68 years old.
68?
Yeah, he just died. Dude, at this time, 68's a long-ass time. He might as well have been
true.
120.
They had really bad diseases and stuff back then. That's true.
They didn't have
bad diseases. It just
Dude, they didn't even have Band-Aids yet.
They had bandages.
But not Band-Aid brand Band-Aids.
Did they even have the term? Well, I guess they would have a term for bandage. Anyways, moving on. Tell me about the next pope, my child.
Pope Urban
That
VI.
is a looker. Oh, that's Boniface?
Yeah.
Is that why his name is Pope Boniface?
I don't know.
Like Bonnie, like Scottish Boniface, like beauty.
Well, the
beauty
thing
face
is, like, popes
play on?
can choose their names. So, like,
Wait,
this isn't...
What?
Yeah, you guys didn't know that?
It doesn't go. I just assume these were their last names, like Pope, whatever.
No. They choose their names. Like Pope Prevost, Robert Prevost, the newest pope, he's going to go by Pope Leo the 14th.
I'm about to go on a little rant real quick. He's
Oh,
going
wait.
by Leo the 14th.
Yes.
Hear me out.
Let
hear
me double check.
Wait,
Let me
wait,
double check
so
real quick.
who was the last Pope's name? Was it not Francis?
What was Pope Francis's real name?
Yeah, I thought that was his name.
One
Casey's
question.
rocked my world right now.
Yeah, Pope Leo the 14th was Robert Prevost. Oh, hang on. Pope.
What about Pope Francis?
Yeah, you're rocking my world. I just thought his name was Francis.
Okay, you didn't realize? Okay.
No.
Pope Francis's real name is George Mario Bergoglio.
Why would you pick
Hear me
Pope
out. Hear me out.
Francis, though? Like, what?
Hear me out. I'm gonna go on a little side rant here, and I need you to track with me here. All right?
I'm with you, brother. I'm with you.
Okay. So you're telling me an organization that loves to tell people, right? Like, hear me out. So that their highest person of their order can just
Correct.
pick a different name, and everyone will now call them that new name, and everyone's comfortable with it, right?
Right.
They're like, oh, he doesn't go by that anymore. Now he goes by this name, and everyone's like, done. We're cool with that, right? The Catholic Church is the one that's okay with just picking a new name for a new identity for yourself.
Okay,
And
so
you're good with it.
why do popes change their names? Over the years, popes have often chosen the names of their immediate or distant predecessors out of respect or admiration and to signal the desire to follow in their footsteps and continue the most relevant pontificates.
Weird.
How do popes decide their names? They choose their names that have meaning in the Catholic tradition.
That's what I'm saying. They just one day decide they're a different person, and everyone's cool with it. But this is the Catholic Church that's fine with that. But they're not fine with when other people do it. That's its own rant.
It's weird.
You're
I'm
pretty
gonna
heated
agree
on
with
the name
Gabe.
change thing alone.
Yeah, because I've met so.
See, I don't think it's the religion aspect that you don't like. I think it's the
people
organized
in the religion.
It's
And then
the
they expect
organized
you to.
religion.
No, it's because they don't want you to ask questions. They don't want you to ask questions. And when you start asking questions, things don't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Does it have to? It's God.
I wish I hadn't put the
Does
filter on
God
now.
have to make sense? All right. It's called having faith, Gabe.
Again.
Having faith.
I'll let you in on
See,
the secret.
I'm gonna be real with
I'll let you
you.
in on a secret.
If I became Pope, I'd put my name up there.
I'm
I'd be like, people are gonna remember me as my name.
I'm all ears.
Michael, Casey.
I'm here.
I don't have the faith.
Blasphemy!
I don't have the faith to believe.
I need you to take off that white piece on your neck then.
No, keep
That's
it on. It's
totally
sexy.
fair.
If you're gonna take it
No,
off, take it all
now
off.
out of respect for my friends who asked me to be, I respect them and respect their religion. And I will never, I'll ask them questions, especially if stuff doesn't make sense to me, and especially if they're strong. When someone says they're strong in their belief, I love asking questions. But I just want to understand their belief because I don't have that faith, because I don't actually believe. When I meet someone who does, I want to understand what that's like for them. I'm not asking questions just to be like shitting on their belief or whatnot. I'm not like, hey, this doesn't make. It's like, if this is a question I have, what is your answer? How do you come to terms with it? You know what I mean?
Respect. I get that. I get it. Dude, the Indian culture, like their like religious and beliefs and stuff, is really interesting actually. Like, so every now and then, like Michael and I are delivery drivers and we'll deliver to gas stations, which sounds cliche and a little bit racist, but we'll deliver to gas stations that have they're Indian owned or Indian operated, whatever. And like every now and then, I'll
I
talk
have
to
a
them
story.
and ask them. Like I was talking to one guy about Ramadan, and it's kind of interesting.
I have a story of an older Indian man. I don't know his name. Super nice guy. But I asked him one day, what?
I said, we'll call him Rebecca.
Anyway.
I thought that's what you said, but I was hoping that's not.
No, it was.
I used to deliver to him. I don't anymore. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, to Rebecca.
But I asked him, I said,
Rebecca.
What got you into wanting to own a gas station? And he said, did you ever watch The Simpsons? I shit you not. And I'm like, yes, I did. He's like, do you remember the character that had the 7-Eleven? I said, yeah. He's like, over in India, that's a big fantasy. And I said, really? Blew my mind. He said that. I was like, no fucking way.
The fantasy was to come to America and have that dream
and be in The Simpsons.
This is like, okay.
They're like, we see ourselves as that character.
I'm not going to say all Indians, just specifically this one.
Specifically him, right? But
he said
saw
that
and
and
thought
blew my mind.
That would be my American dream, is to live that life. And
to be in The
Simpsons. He
Simpsons.
went and did that.
He did it. Yeah, he accomplished
it. Rebecca is living The Simpsons life now.
It just blew my mind that he answered like that. I was like I was not expecting that.
You got to give them credit. Like they knew what they wanted to do, and they went and did it.
Dude, it'd have been awesome if he painted himself yellow.
Well, I don't know if you ever watched The Simpsons, but he wasn't a yellow character.
No, don't say that. That makes it racist.
It is racist. What you just said, you should probably cut out. Please cut that out.
Why?
Because he's not a yellow character. He's like the only character that's not
but
yellow.
But all the Simpsons characters were yellow.
Look him up.
Yeah,
I've never watched The Simpsons.
He's like one of the only characters.
Homer.
He's one of the only characters not yellow. It's part of his character.
No, there's one other one.
That seems racist.
There's like 2 characters I can remember. It's the gas station dude, which I cannot think of his name.
We gotta get back on topic here. I'm sorry, that's crazy to me. But anyway, I'm blowing your mind about Pope stuff, and you're blowing my mind about The Simpsons. Pope Urban VI.
These aren't their names now because this is ruining it for me.
So made up name Pope Urban VI.
Because now I'm picturing this dude's last name is Urban. I'm like, that ain't right.
So what's Pope Urban VI's real name? Jimmy
know.
John? Pope Jimmy John.
Yeah, it's Jimmy John.
Not affiliated with Jimmy John's, the delicious sub-making,
No, his name's actually Pope Keith Urban, the country musician.
No affiliation. We're not.
No affiliation. Anyway, his reign of power or terror, whatever you want to call it, was between 1378 and 1389. He joins this list because he tore the church into 2 and later 3 entities, all of which had their own popes, and they would all compete against each other for like ultimate power against the Catholic Church. He was corrupt and would sell church positions to people. He also had extreme anger issues, which is probably why the church would tear into 3 pieces. And he was no stranger to violence and to dispatch his enemies. I said dispatch, I meant dispose. He would kill his enemies. He had reportedly had 6 cardinals arrested, tortured, and executed. The cardinals. What's up?
I was gonna say, so far this is the only pope that I almost feel like has like a trap door at his throne. He's just like,
this motherfucker's a gangster. This guy's straight up gangster.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, Michael. He definitely has that like
That
you
vibe
walk
of like
into
a
the seal in the middle of the room, and he
it
just like has the lever, like, or he just does the nod, and someone off behind like a
and then they just fall into this pit and get tortured.
So the Cardinals, who would plot against him because he's not a nice guy, they did not like him in power, even though they essentially voted
So
him.
we got sort of a Brutus.
Yeah, I wonder why he had 6 cardinals
Caesar thing
arrested and
going on.
tortured.
Yeah.
I wonder
So the
why.
Cardinals, so the Cardinals who plotted against him would again be arrested and tortured. And Pope Urban, he would often complain that their screams were not loud enough. Yeah.
So he's straight up like Count Frollo from Hunchback here.
Yeah, he's straight up gangster,
Like
dude.
if you whip him too quickly, he becomes numb to the pain of the next lashing. You have to take your time between lashings. That's what Frollo taught me.
Like, I'm upset that this guy's not crying enough. Hit him harder.
Is he screaming? Why is it not louder?
I hear the screams sounding like a dull ah. They should sound more like, I don't know, kapang, ah, like that, you know?
So he was also accused of obviously murder, but also sacrilege, which is the misuse of what is regarded as sacred. He's also accused of adultery and evoking demons.
Good for him. Everyone is evoking demons.
Man, so I was gonna say, being a figure of God, like such a high figure of God, I could only imagine what evoking demons would look like.
Yeah, I don't really know. I guess like chanting black magic, maybe.
Or is it just because, hear me out, is it could just because they gave into the vices of humanity of like wanting to sleep around and drink, and so the church they invoked the demons of, you know, the lust of the demon of lust, the demon of.
It's probably not as crazy as
gluttony.
what I'm picturing, but I do picture, and I can't think of what it's called right now off the top of my head, but like the blood circle, the oh my god,
Pentagram.
I doubt we're talking supernatural here. We're not talking like
the pentagram. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, thank you. I could not think of that word.
And now, if they actually were doing devil worship, that would be hilarious.
That's what I'm saying. I know it's not to that level, but that's what I'm
Because
picturing.
that would mean the number one person of the church, the holiest holy, appointed at this time by the conclave,
Yep.
who's trusted to lead the church in the right direction, was trying to worship Satan. Like,
could you imagine real quick finding out that like it's like you find out that all of the great words of God, it's like, yeah, I couldn't reach God, so I called the next best thing. I called the devil. He gave me all those great words.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
Good. It's not important.
Okay.
Moving on.
Moving on to Pope Sixtus the Fourth.
I hate these names now. It annoys me so much now.
They're also weird. Sixtus?
Pope Sixtus.
Yeah, because I just thought he had a weird name, and now I'm like, he picked a weird fucking name.
This guy had a pretty long reign. His reign of power was between 1414 and 1484.
Gosh darn.
So 70 years. So I think this guy died. Anyway.
He must have got there young.
He may not seem like such a bad guy, having the Sistine Chapel and the Vatican Library constructed under his reign. He also was the creation of the Uppsala University in Sweden, which is the first Scandinavian university. But Sixtus, what's up?
I was gonna say, if he did that for Sweden, that could be what started the guards in 15 whatever, because you know they did that for them.
Could be. It's a good observation, Michael. You got a 1 point for you. They don't matter. But Sixtus also founded the Spanish Inquisition. You all right, Gabe?
That is wild.
That was so violent and so.
No
wonder he needed bodyguards.
So just a little refresher here: the Spanish Inquisition was a powerful what is this word? Anyway, some court established in Spain in 1478. Blah blah blah. Its primary goal was to combat heresy, particularly targeting Jewish conversos.
Mm-hmm.
Those who had converted to Christianity but were suspected of secretly practicing Judaism. The Inquisition operated for over 3 centuries, extending its influence across Spain, Portugal, and Spanish colonies, including Mexico.
They were the ones who, like, if you, and that came down to a lot of like the whole like you don't like someone, so you report them to the church for heresy, and then the Spanish Inquisition comes and picks them up in the middle of the night, and then without a proper trial, they are then basically tortured until they confess their sins.
A lot of deaths that were not deserved.
A lot of Christians were killed during the Spanish Inquisition because they were not as holy, or they were committing acts of heresy. Like that is so.
They're just accused.
This was the Pope in charge. Yeah, and they would get tortured for the truth.
And the sad part is a
Show
lot
up
of
to
them.
church every Sunday.
I was gonna say a lot of them, as they were probably dying and being tortured, were probably screaming, "I did nothing wrong. I am a true believer of God."
Imagine how many like confessed to sins that they didn't even do because they
Dude,
were
that's
just
what I was
getting
gonna
tortured.
say. Like, because eventually you just want the torture to stop, and like, if death is your only way out, like, depending on how long I've been tortured, I'm probably
I've
gonna
seen some of the videos
too.
of like the ancient torture traps, and I'm sure you have too, of like the top 10s and stuff like that, you know.
Which we need to do a video on that at some point, because that'd be cool.
That would be cool. And oh yeah, I was yeah, I've got some ideas for information we should share. But some of those things of torture, man, that, oh god. And it was like some of those people believed you couldn't get correct information from someone unless they were tortured first. So right off the bat, you were getting tortured before like they even asked you the questions.
There were some of those. Yeah, so there were some of those torture devices that were so intense, and they said some people wouldn't even cry out because they didn't want their enemies to see like how scared they were, or how much pain they were in, to give them that satisfaction. And I'm looking at some of those, and I'm like, dude, I looked at the machine and I would have been like, what do you want to know?
Yeah, straight up. Like, I would have seen it and immediately started crying. Like, I am not man enough for this.
I would have seen the machine.
You will not get the correct information until like after they've been a little tortured.
Yeah, I would have seen, like, they would have put the brazen bull in front of me, and I've been like, yo, you want my social security number or what? Like, what all do you need?
Like, you can have my wife. I don't want to die.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to go in that.
Anyway, so he founded the Spanish Inquisition. He was also known for nepotism and put his family and friends in positions of power, which in turn made sure he held on to his power, which is probably why he reigned for 70 years. He also plotted to depose a powerful Medici family. I'm going to assume that's how it's said.
Yeah, the Medici family.
Medici, yeah.
Do you really know of them? I've never heard of them until it's just like a powerful crime family.
The Medici family is like one of the first like big banks like in existence. Like the Medici, they were helping fund like kingdoms.
Well, they're a big crime family.
Yes, they were huge, wealthy. There's TV shows based about the Medici family.
Really?
Yeah.
How have I never heard of them?
I think they even brought it up in Assassin's Creed.
They did. The Medici family is very popular because again, they were their family was huge with the banking system, and they were very influential with royalty.
Oh.
Because they were one of the families that started lending money instead of lending money to individual citizens. They're like, we can lend money to a country.
Your last name was Medici.
Had an entire country in debt to us.
You carried so much weight walking into rooms.
They were one of the first banks to be like, let's stop dealing with low-level finances and deal with financing countries. The Medici family was very powerful, very big, and they had
like to put it on scale. Casey
marrying into the Medici family.
To put it on a scale, you might get more. Like, dude, they were essentially like big mafioso family. Like they ran.
Yeah, that's how. Like when I was doing research, I was like, oh, they're just a crime family, not like the mafia. But
no, they started like banks.
Yeah, I was like, they were. I mean, there might have been shady shit, but for the most part, they sounded pretty legitimate.
There's a very real possibility that this family still exists, but like behind closed door, like shadow family type thing.
Well, there's also that. There's the was it the Rothschild?
Yeah,
Rothschild. That
Rothschild.
Family?
Yeah,
Rothschild family.
Like everyone's heard of them and they know they exist, but you don't know. Like they own like everything, I guess.
Well, I know a couple things about them.
Well, I mean, people know stuff.
Well, yeah, it has to go. It still like has to go to a male heir. The family company has to go to a male heir. That is still written in the Rothschild agreement, whatever.
Anyway, to continue on, he apparently also, Pope Sixtus the Fourth, he apparently also had a sexual appetite and would have six illegitimate children, one of which was a result of incest with his sister.
Another pope that had sex with his sister.
I'm not gonna lie, Casey, I thought that was a horrible sentence because you said sex, so my mind immediately read sex, and it said sex illegitimate children. I'm like, Whoa, how many
Sexual
children did he sleep
appetite
with?
for
Yeah,
children.
it's like, whoa, how many children did we sleep with here? What are we talking?
Well, we do know that there were popes that did practice, or we don't know practice. They were okay with pedophilia,
They were okay with.
which kind of makes me believe because of their power, like there had to be popes that practiced,
Oh yeah.
which is awful.
Again, dude, I feel like if you're that high up, like I'm sure people would be like, almost feel honored to sleep with the Pope.
So
Or
this
they
pope. Go
fuck
ahead,
with
sorry.
you and make you believe you were honored to sleep with the
Yeah,
Pope. Like
yeah,
that's psychological.
You're just
So
gaslighting them into feeling like you want to be with me.
this pope was also very much a hypocrite. Okay, he policed others' sexual indulgences and created a tax on prostitution and charged other priests who had mistresses. He was allowed to, but they weren't
Because he was the Pope.
because he was the pope. Hell yeah!
Can you imagine that? Like, oh, dude, I slept with this girl last night. Phenomenal. And this guy's like, dude, me too. It's like, oh, did you? 15 shillings.
Oh, did you?
He's like,
Prison.
really? Hey, make sure we tax him.
Yeah, is he getting taxed on that?
How are we on the Spanish conclave thing? Is that still? Can we get this guy in here?
Yeah, I was trying to tell a
Spanish
story about me
Inquisition.
having sex, and then he came in and started
What did
talking
I
about
say?
his. Throw him
Conclave.
in the prison.
You said Spanish conclave.
That's the same thing.
It's not the same. Margaritas. They're feisty. They
This
match up.
is this little ditty right here is number 4
Oh, number
Oh,
4.
shit.
because normally we record in the morning, but now it is
Where we're all-
currently 8 p.m.
You know what? The funny thing is I'm doing the same thing I do when we record in the morning.
What's that? What do you? Oh, that's probably just tobacco, right?
Shisha.
Right, Gabe? A little tobacco, maybe a little shisha.
Yeah. Continue on. Let's hear
I
about that
almost
next
like
Pope.
doing these night episodes because it's getting dark around me, but the monitor is actually making enough light for me to.
Dude, honestly, I keep looking at the door behind you, and I really want it to like slam shut.
If it's slammed shut, I'm not gonna be in this. I will be up so quick.
I regret turning that filter on now because
You can't see behind you.
I can't see behind me and it's freaking me out a little bit.
That's just a
It's dark in
bathroom,
that
but
room.
it's just dark enough that I'm like, if a figure comes around that corner, I'm shitting my pants.
If a figure comes around.
All right.
Tell me about the
We've
next
got
Pope.
3 popes left. All right.
3 popes left.
Next up is Pope Alexander the Sixth. There's a lot of sixes. If I've been paying attention enough. There's a few sixes. Anyway,
4.
Pope Alexander the Sixth was pope between 1492
9. 7.
and 1503.
3. 6. There's only been 2 6s.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Anyway, power between 1492 and 1503, so 11 years. Born to the Borgia, however you want to say it, the Borgia family, another powerful crime family during this time. Gabe knows
Another
all
powerful
about
family,
it.
also in Assassin's Creed. Also,
a word from Gabe. Here you go, Gabe. Tell us about the Borgia family.
I'm not gonna lie, Casey. If you've played Assassin's Creed, you'd actually know.
You know all these family names and how they're pronounced and everything like that.
The Black Flag was the only one I played. It was the best. It was super glitchy, but I loved it. I love pirates.
It was not glitchy at all.
Yeah, I didn't have any issues with it.
It was pretty glitchy. I mean, I put a
You played it
lot
on
of
the,
time.
You played it on the PS3.
Correct.
That's
I
why.
put a lot of time in.
Yeah, I did everything you could do in that game.
Anyway, so this pope was born of the Borgia family. He was created cardinal in 1456 by his uncle, who was Pope Calixtus III. He would then bought his way into power by bribing other cardinals. And then as vice chancellor of the Roman Catholic Church, he gained enormous wealth and would live like a Renaissance prince. In this context, is someone who has a lot of political power. He also fathered several children with several mistresses. I'm having a stroke.
Does
Please don't. I don't know your address, so I can't call 911 for you.
do popes
Oh,
get
that's easy. My address is.
do popes get paid for being pope?
So, kind of. They don't really get paid, but the church pays for like their living expenses and like their food and like. So
Okay, I was wondering how that worked.
They pretty much have access to the church's money, but they don't directly get a salary. So he appointed
What
many
if
of
the Pope wants to buy something? Are they allowed to have personal trinkets?
So I don't know, not really, because I think it's like, oh, what is it like?
think everything's
I think it's
provided
like
for
priests,
you.
like certain types of priests, you know how they have to live like they just live poor by choice. Like they give up all their worldly possessions and things like that to be closer to God and the pursuit of knowledge and religion and things like that. So they don't have worldly possessions or money.
I
Does
feel
that make
like
sense?
when you're Pope, everything's kind of provided for you at that point. Like you'd have,
Yeah, the
people
church pays
driving
for
you.
everything.
You'd have a house essentially.
The Vatican. Do they live in the Vatican? Gotta look it up. Gotta look it up.
I'd imagine. I mean, you think about the White House for America, like every president shared that place.
Okay, I just googled it. Yes, the Pope has no material possessions. As Pope, the pontiff does not own anything, though he has custodianship of the Church's fortune during his reign. Everything and anything the Pope needs or wants is provided for him.
What is the fortune? Like, how much we talking? Does anyone know?
I would imagine the fortune. I don't know.
I'm just curious. Like, I feel like they're probably sitting on a shit ton of money.
And yes, the Pope lives in the palace.
It would be like a presidency in America. You'd live in the White House, and then when your term is up, the next person would live in the White
I started
House.
writing an episode. Just another sidebar. The White House is haunted. Fun fact. Yeah. So at some point, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about how the White House is haunted. If you don't care, I don't care.
Estimated Catholic Church has anywhere from 10 to 15 billion.
That's too much money for a church. That's too much money, man.
The Vatican itself, with its real estate investments and priceless arts, is estimated to have assets around 1 billion itself. So the Vatican itself, a billion. They have 10 to 15 billion.
Listen, the Vatican has been involved in several conspiracies, and I would not be surprised at all if they're worth way more. And I also believe that the Vatican like houses some like priceless heirlooms.
Of course.
Like, like the Library of Alexandria. I would 100% believe it's in the Vatican archives.
This one is saying the Catholic Church has at least 73 billion based on media reports and financial statements, but it likely has hundreds of billions.
That's wild to be sitting on that as a pope.
Yeah, I 100% believe that the Vatican is home to a lot of wealth and knowledge. Anyway.
Oh my God. Mormons are wealthier.
What?
I just asked, I just looked up like what's the most wealthiest church organization.
Yeah.
And while the Catholic Church possesses significant wealth and land holdings, it's not definitively the wealthiest organization in the world. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is often cited as wealthier, with estimates ranging up to 265 billion for the Mormon Church.
The churches should. I think if you. Oh man, this. Okay, we could talk about this all day.
He's got a couple of drinks in him. He can go into this.
That much money. The church has that much money. They should pay taxes.
They're tax exempt because they're a
I
church.
know.
The other
they're
thing
allowed
I would
to
say,
have. No, if you have $260 billion, you should pay fucking taxes, or pay for school lunches at least. Damn it!
No, hear me out. If every church, as part of their no taxation, had to become a homeless shelter,
give something back.
It would end the homeless crisis in America would end if
Joel Osteen down there in fucking Texas, he fucking turns people away during a crisis because he doesn't want to get his carpets muddy.
Dude, there was a church, there was a priest or something or whatever the title is, where he bought a jet and justified it as spreading the word of God.
He bought the jet from Tyler Perry.
Yeah, and
Tyler Perry sold him the jet.
About. Oh man.
Spread the word of God so I can get around quicker.
And he said that, God made it so cheap that he had to buy it.
And it was probably tax exempt because he put God's name on it.
It probably was tax exempt. It was a church buy.
Kenneth Copeland.
That dude is crazy demonized.
Crazy demonized. Dude, right. Any picture, if you just Google Kenneth Copeland,
he looks evil.
You're like, oh, there's a lizard. He's just wearing
do a story
like
leather. On him? Think he's got a crazy background?
We might have to do an episode on like bad pastors or something.
No, we'll just Oh, dude, episode idea. We all look up a pastor, like a really infamous,
You think they'd be upset if we called them?
I don't think you're going to get a hold of them, but you can call their organization.
Why not? They're just a pastor.
because I'm assuming when they have that much power that you probably can't just
Why
call
does
them.
why does Kenneth Copeland look like he died and someone's wearing his skin?
That is a picture of nightmares because
And
he's
someone's
a lizard.
wearing his skin.
Looks demonic.
He's a
he
lizard.
looks like there's something underneath him.
He looks like the
Like-
He's a
dude
lizard.
from Men in Black, the insect dude that's wearing the guy's
Yes.
skin.
Yep.
He's a collection of cicadas.
I think it was a cockroach, but yeah, something like that.
What was that on Rick and Morty? The million
Oh,
ant
good
man.
lord.
Something like that. Either
He was
way.
made of a million ants.
Anyway, we got to get back to Alexander here. Pope
Okay.
Alexander the Sixth. Okay, he saw fathered several mistresses. He appointed many of his family members to the power position. Arranged. Jesus Christ, I'm having a stroke right now. Okay,
Do you want one of us to read?
let me finish this guy, and then you guys could like split the last two. I don't know.
Okay, cool.
He appointed Jesus Christ.
Manly?
He appointed many of his family members into power positions and arranged marriages to further increase his families and his power.
Kind of like this late night version because now Casey's drinking and he's kind of struggling.
It's the Mamlies. He appointed many a Mamly.
Kind of like this format.
Mammalam. Whoa, Betty
Alexander.
Mammalam.
Alexander the Sixth issued Kaitera, which justified the colonization, conversion, and enslavement of Native Americans and Africans. So the church,
Whoa,
church.
wait, did he start that?
So the church is one of the first organizations to like justify slavery. He was also associated with the Black Legend, which refers to the Borgias family's ties to corruption, abuse of power, orgies, sex, and murder. Some accounts say he was even having a sexual relationship with his daughter. And Alexander VI would later be referred to as the Antichrist.
What's with popes and underage people? Like, I know there's a joke with like churches and like sleeping with, like.
Well, maybe he waited till his daughter was 18 to have sex with her.
You know what? You could be right.
That doesn't make it
Better.
But she's legal. Well, I guess it's by American standards. Something wrong, Gabe? I don't see what's going on.
So instead of like underage, it's just it's just incest.
I wonder
I feel
if
like
the
guys should
Pope
have had
incest thing comes with like when they were kids, they were molested.
It's like there's that
And
whole
so
joke.
now that they're older, they're attracted to children because they were quote unquote you will be celibate, but you get molested. So then when they become old enough, now they do the molesting.
Wait, when
know what
was
I mean?
the?
There's always a joke about the Catholic school boys, going up to the altar.
Altar boys, yeah.
Yeah, so you're just like, okay, so I know it's a joke, but like these guys are not making it sound better.
No, they're not. And it's not really it's a joke, but it's a joke based in realism because it spirals from how long children have been sexually abused by the church.
And you know what's crazy to think about it too?
Wait, hang on, maybe though. Maybe this happened before they were Pope.
You know what's really crazy to think about too? I'm sure there's people who
it has to be afterwards. Anyway,
I'm sure there's people who thought it was okay because the Pope is so high and like he looks like people look up to him because he's the closest one to God. So they're like, "Oh, is this okay? Because this super high religious man's doing it. Like, are we cool with this now?" Or
but that's assuming that most people.
Listen,
I'm sure there's some that would, but
I'm not saying all.
Give people
I am not saying all.
that they wouldn't think that they'd be like, this is still wrong.
I got a catch-all for you right now. I got a term that will cover it all.
Go ahead.
It's God's plan.
Because let's be real here. The church isn't a cult per se, but like even cults make it.
From that response.
Yeah. Even cults, they can talk people into having sex. Like there is cults where he talked all the women to like stop having sex with their husbands and sleep with just the cult leader.
Yep.
And so it's like, and they all believed it because they were they were so invested.
I feel like that happened in several cults.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But they were so invested in it. So I'm like, I could see that to a level of like him being like, oh yeah, I slept with my daughter. What of it? Like, sleep with your children. It's okay. God deems it good.
Everyone's doing it nowadays.
Welcome to Sweet Home Alabama.
Anyway, Gabe, real quick sidebar. I went to a rare seed festival And I saw a real cult.
Didn't know where this was going.
The Yellow Deli cult. Have you never heard of it? It's a real cult. And they were there. And I was super happy about it.
There's a cult in Carbondale. They run a little
what do they call it? They call it the Yellow Deli? Because the Yellow Deli's everywhere.
Diner.
Well, the Yellow Deli runs like bakeries and stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is. It's a bakery.
They fund a lot of their cult stuff.
Not Yellow
through
Deli,
it.
but it is a bakery, and it's kind of like a hippie thing.
So
everyone knows it's a cult. And that's what when you go to like SIU, everyone's like, stay away from this place. It's a cult. It's a cult. And a couple.
I'll tell you what.
Yep, I want to go there,
dude. I'll tell you what. The Yellow Deli. The only reason I didn't go was because the prices were crazy. It was like $13 for a sandwich.
Bro, they gotta fund their cult.
But dude, I'll tell you what. It smelled fantastic.
Well, next time you come visit me in
you said Carbondale.
Carbondale, yeah, that's the place where I live.
Yeah, I did say
you could just say the previous state,
episodes,
very broad.
Whatever. Southern Illinois. Next time you're in Southern Illinois,
dude, we're definitely going to a cult. Yeah,
we'll go to the cult bakery place and we'll just observe.
Just like blackout in the back room. Like, oh shit, yeah, we fucked up.
We're like, we'll record an episode here at the cult.
This is Gabe and Casey live from inside the cult.
Where's Michael? Michael's already behind the counter serving the next.
I already drank the punch. Was I not supposed to drink this punch?
He's like, they let me have break. Do you guys want some food?
He's like, I just walked in and they handed me a vest and said, get to work.
Handed me a vest? They gave me a thing of punch? I think I'm dying.
All right, back to the popes.
All right, back to Pope Julius II.
My turn.
Number 9, yeah.
Pope Julius II. He was the ninth. He was not the ninth pope. Sorry, I'm not going to spread that lie. He was pope from 1503 to 1513. He's the ninth one on our list. Chose his name to honor Julius Caesar, who he wanted to emulate. Had a violent temper and had treated his subordinates very badly. Was accused of sexual misconduct and fathering several children before becoming pope. I'm assuming this was now after they were no longer allowed to have children.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pope Julius also had a severe case of syphilis, which he contracted from a prostitute. Just funny, on Good Fridays, his feet were so covered in sores, no one would kiss them.
Yeah, so on Good Fridays, I don't know if they still do this or not, but on Good Fridays, you would go and you would kiss the feet of the Pope. But his feet were so badly covered in sores that nobody wanted to kiss his feet because he had syphilis. I feel like every episode, someone has syphilis.
Yeah, I was like, this is just a common theme.
Syphilis was a common thing in the past.
I just feel like pretty soon, like eventually we're going to cover a topic that syphilis is not involved at all. And then like somebody is going to be like, actually guys, I have syphilis.
See, the funny thing about it nowadays is you can get treated.
Curable. It's been curable for a while.
Yeah. I'd like to point out, the man honored Julius Caesar, but like, Julius Caesar died in a horrific way. Like, I don't know if I'd want to honor someone like that.
He was, I mean, I don't know much about Julius Caesar, but he was not a good guy, right?
I don't know. So good is relative.
Okay.
He did a lot of
he did good
things for Rome.
Okay.
A lot of bad things.
He did a lot of bad things if you opposed him.
There's a reason he was stabbed. Oh my god, I'm gonna fuck this up. 30-something times?
32 times?
Yeah.
At least that's what I think the William Shakespeare play has it.
Yeah, like 32. There's a reason he was stabbed a lot.
But he was stabbed by most of the Senate, including his best friend Brutus, who was his best friend for years.
Yep.
But even Brutus had decided that he loved Rome more than he loved Caesar.
He's like, enough with your dictatorship.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Sounds pretty rough.
Well, yeah, if I believe he got appointed emperor during a time of war, because that was the only time, because they didn't have emperors again. They got rid of them. That they only had it like if they go to a bad enough war, they would appoint one person to basically lead, as you know, and then after the war ended, Caesar was like, I'm keeping it, and all the military loves me, so boom.
Nothing about popes, but Julius Caesar real quick. Did you guys know Julius Caesar fathered a child with Cleopatra?
That can't be true.
Why can't that be true?
Can't that be true?
I don't know.
She wanted the child to take the heir of Rome, but he would never admit to having the child because he had a wife with children already. But it was a power thing because she was...
What? He really did?
I told you.
He had a son named Ptolemy the 15th.
Because he never claimed the child, so it couldn't take the throne.
Also
and she
known as
wanted her
Caesarea.
child to take the throne of Rome because they were building a power struggle because she was the queen of Egypt.
Which is funny because she was Greek.
Yeah. But like they wanted this big power thing, and like she truly loved him.
But do you know how Cleopatra's family became into power? Alexander the Great. When he took over after his death, one of Alexander's, I believe, uncles or cousins took the role, as the Greek took the role of continuing to lead Egypt and became the pharaohs, and that's how the pharaohs became Greeks.
Did not know that.
You guys know a lot of. You guys know a lot of shit. You guys are a bunch of smart, intelligent men.
If you hear sloshing, my dog is
read a lot,
viciously attacking his water bowl.
And I've listened to a lot of podcasts about history.
I listen to a lot of things about history. And for a while, I was a classics minor, but I'm dropping that. Classics is the history of all of the Mediterranean. So Greek history, Roman history, the Egyptian history, like all of the surrounding coastal cities of the Mediterranean. That's all the classics.
Because he was never truly Caesar never before his death never admitted to having the child with Cleopatra, like naming him his child. He could never take the throne from Julius in Rome, and she was upset by that.
Oh.
She wanted him to take power.
Okay. Let's get back to the popes. We got one more pope. Michael, do you want to bring it home?
Pope Leo. Wait, what's the new pope's name? Pope. What was he going to go by?
Pope Leo the 14th. This is Pope Leo the 10th.
Weird. So there's already there was already a Leo. Weird. Pope Leo the 10th.
14 Leos.
That's true. Yeah, there's been
There's
13. There's been 13 because he'll be the 14th.
It's going to be the Pope Leo the 14th is the current one, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And he traces his lineage back to these Leos?
I'm guessing if they pick to follow and honor him, I'm guessing.
And all popes go back to Saint Peter,
who was the only one appointed by Jesus.
I don't know if he did this on purpose, but I like it that Pope Leo the 10th was our 10th on the list.
I didn't intentionally do that. Like I said, it's just chronological order.
I know, that's what I'm saying, but I love that
it's funny
it
that
lined up. But he was the Pope between 1513 and 1521.
So 8-year reign, short run.
So he took over right after Julius. Okay, he was the.
That was 10 years after Julius. No, you're right.
Oh
you're
yeah,
right.
because
you're
his
right.
ended at the 13th. Yeah, so it would have been the next pope right after him. Right?
Two bad popes in a row.
What is that conclave thinking? What is that Spanish conclave?
I love the idea.
If I remember correctly, this is after the Dark Ages.
I love the idea though, because these are just back to back. That like the enclave was like, cool, we got rid of a shitty pope. Julius is out. Let's get Leo in, and then like a month after him being in, they're like, oh, we fucked up again.
Well, it's not his name's not even Leo. It's whatever it was before.
Yeah, whatever it was.
They're like, all right, this guy's gonna be better. He's like, call me Leo the 10th.
They're all just sitting there going like, fuck, we fucked up.
And they're like, okay, let's see what he does. And then he does what? Continue.
He was a member of the Medici family, which was a powerful family. I like how you specified it here, which was a powerful family at this time.
Well, dude, I saw this story was kind of like there was almost 13 popes.
Yeah, but you didn't specify it when you brought him up the first time.
I think I did. Either way, well, so I actually may have wrote this guy first.
Okay.
Oh, and then later you put him in
okay. Yeah, because
Okay. That would make sense then. He spent a large portion of the church's money on luxurious, such as ceremonies and art, parties and art.
Ceremonies and yeah.
Yeah, so parties and art.
Much.
Art parties, got it.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Parties in the park with art.
He commissioned the rebuilding of the St. Peter's
Basilica.
Give it your best
Basilica.
Is that how you think it is?
Basilica?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
I forgot what it was.
Say it like you're Italian. Basilica.
Yeah.
Basilica.
I don't even know if that's how you say it. Basilica. I don't know.
Basilica.
Okay. I don't know if that's how you say it. Is that like what kind of building is this?
It's the burial site of Saint Peter, one of the 12 apostles of Jesus and the first pope. and is considered one of the holiest places in the Catholic Church.
So
So
bad
pretty
guy.
significant.
So hold up. So this guy could be bad, but that part looks really good in his favor.
Well, it's the same as the other pope doing the Sistine Chapel.
That's what I'm saying. Like bad pope.
So like,
But I'm sure that looked good.
Yeah, bad people could do good things.
He would
But
have.
at this time, I don't think the church had like. They probably had a significant amount of money, but not as much as they do today. So
I'm sure they had a lot.
he spent a large portion doing this. So it was probably at this time was just misappropriated
But
funds.
he's also from the Medici family.
But let's be real here.
So I wonder how much of the Medici family helped pay for it.
That's true.
Well, it could have paid for itself. Michael, continue reading, and we'll find out some more.
He would have people pay money to the church to buy the forgiveness of sins and to get dead relatives out of purgatory?
Yeah.
What?
So you could pay the church to get out of purgatory, as it says.
I've heard this before.
Yeah, pay for penance scheme.
Basically, the more money you gave the church, the shorter. They said everyone has to spend time in purgatory. But if you give us a fuck ton of money while you're on Earth, you'll spend less time in purgatory.
Dude, real quick, just this is off topic, but wasn't there some scandal recently where like a church was like you could buy a plot in heaven?
Well, yeah, I think it was a Southern church.
That's essentially the same thing at this. Like you're buying a plot in the clouds on Earth.
Well, if heaven is in the clouds, then yes.
Isn't that what they say? Isn't it like up in the sky?
I think it depends. I don't know. I think it depends on like your. I don't know if you're not necessarily your beliefs, just like what that particular church believes. Because like they say it's the clouds, but could it just be like another dimension? Maybe.
Possible. I think it is.
I feel like we can go down a rabbit hole that we probably should try to avoid right now. We are approaching an hour and a half on this episode alone.
Fair enough. His reign angered Martin Luther to write the 95 Thesis, which sparked the Protestant Reformation that tore the Catholic Church apart.
Yeah, it did.
Yes. There's a lot to this. I didn't really want to go into detail. I'm not going to lie. If you want to know about the Protestant Reformation that tore the Catholic Church apart, Google it yourself. Like I said, we're in an hour and a half right now.
We're having fun,
I don't
though.
want to do it.
We're having fun, though.
I'm good. I'm 4 little Ritas in. I'm getting hot. I am in a hoodie and a beanie. And
yeah,
I got the fan on. It's cool in my house. I'm feeling good, but I have 4 Ritas in, so I'm a little spicy. You know?
Kind of like the night format, though. It's a little nice, though.
All right. Well, what do we think about these bad popes?
All right.
Didn't even have the.
No, yeah, I didn't have the.
We might have to revisit here. I want to talk about the Nazi pope.
Dude, honestly, we could probably talk for an entire year about the Nazis. I'm sure that
the Pope.
Well, I know, but I mean, like, he's tied into the Nazis at this point. You know, the Catholic Church are practically Nazis. We probably shouldn't say that. I'm not. I take it back. anyway, that's
on how you look at it.
That is a hot topic.
That's 10 terrible popes.
Oh,
there have definitely been more, but these are considered the worst of the worst.
You consider them the worst of the worst.
I mean, I guess it is a little bit relative, but if you think we've missed anybody, leave a comment. Let us know. I want to hear your thoughts. There have been 267 now. I'm sure that there are more.
I just want someone to go into the comments. I just want someone to go in the comments and be like, back in my day, this pope was awful.
I know we talked about the pope that started the Spanish Inquisition, but we didn't talk about any of the popes that were in charge during the Crusades.
True, that would have been a wild one.
Correct. I mean, honestly, again, there was 267 popes now, with Pope Leo XIV being.
So we're probably going to do another pope list at some point.
There's a very good possibility. We only covered 10. So if you want to hear about anybody, or you think we missed anybody who is worse, let us know. Also, if you were pope for a day, what would you do? We want to know. But I want to know what Gabe and Michael would do if they were pope for a day. Let's hear it. Gabe, you want to start? Father Gabe?
Pope for a day.
Pope for a day.
Yeah. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm spending that day going through the archives with the translators.
Okay.
The supposedly underneath the Vatican, they have their secret archives, which this is true. Yep. That you have to have like very specific requests to get documentation from there. And even then, like, even if it's like you want a whole manuscript, like they're like, No, you have to request what pages from that manuscript you want. Like, you can't get like the whole book. It's like they only bring you like, we will bring you, you know. So I would want full access to all of that with translators, and I would go through and I'd be, like, find the oldest shit possible and be like, tell me what this fucking shit says. I want to know. Like, talk to me. Like, that's what I'm doing as Pope.
What if you're like unequivocally convinced that heaven is real after spending the day in the Vatican Library or secret archive?
You'd have to. I don't understand how that would work.
What if in the archive there's a portal to heaven? You just pop your head in, and it's God's changing room.
That would be crazy.
You know, and if I have to, and I'm not allowed to talk about it after I'm no longer Pope when the 24 hours are up. If that happens, if there's a portal to heaven, when I come out of being Pope for 24 hours, I will then just automatically reignite my faith and belief in the church and in God, and that will be your sign to know.
Yeah, if you become Pope and you, after your day as Pope, and you start going to church heavily, I'll be like, oh shit, okay, Gabe knows some shit. I'm going to start going to church.
That'll be your sign. You should probably get to church too.
All right, Michael, what about you? Pope for a day, what are you doing?
I've got two answers. I've got a joke one that I find hilarious, and I got one that I would actually do.
The serious one first.
Okay, I would genuinely spend the day. I would just want to know how corrupt it actually is. I would just want to like go to the deepest level and find out how corrupt it really is.
So you would want to expose the corruption in the Catholic Church, or you just want the personal knowledge?
I want the personal knowledge because like part of me would want to like tell the world, but part of me feels like I'd probably disappear because they do have power.
They'd take you out.
That's what I'm saying. They do have power and money.
Pope.
The Medici family.
They do have power and money.
Pope for 2 hours.
Now the joke. If I was Pope only for a day, because like I only have 24 hours to do something, I'm probably drawing a pentagram in certain areas. Like I'm gonna hide pentagrams throughout the thing just to scare the next Pope.
All right, and that was your joke answer?
Oh yeah, because that'd be hilarious. Because the next Pope would come in and just like he'd move a book and be like, "Is this a pentagram?"
All right, what I would do, I'd have sex with my sister. Anyway, that's all the time we got. Thanks for joining us, guys.
I'm sure Nathan would appreciate that.
Don't forget your flashlight, dude. Catch us on the next one. You can watch us on YouTube now. You can listen to us on Spotify if you want. Anyway, have a good night, guys, and don't forget your flashlight.